everybody. This is Jack Hammer. Hope you're all doing well. Wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about the 49ers dominating win today in Jacksonville, 30-10 to get themselves to 500 on the season. Really nice win for the 49ers, and it sets up a showdown with the Minnesota Vikings next week at Levi Stadium as both teams fight to gain a position in the NFC playoffs. Wanted to go ahead and start this off by let's take a look at my 5 questions that I asked on Saturday, and let's take a look at the answers to those. Also, I will be putting a link over in the comment section if you'd like to call in tonight and talk a little bit about the game. You're more than welcome to. Definitely we'll look forward to chatting with you folks a little bit about the game tonight from this morning. Fantastic win, like I said. The first question that I asked was, will the 49ers stick with the run? And that's an absolute yes. They sure did. The 49ers offense has shown that they're at their best when they commit to the running game, and they've done just that now over the last 2 weeks. They had 44 rushing attempts on Monday night against Los Angeles. Followed that up with 42 against Jacksonville, including over 20 in the first half. It was easy to see that the 49ers were going to hit that number pretty early in the game, just based off of the number of runs that they had early, the fact that they were out to such a big lead, and you could just kind of sense that that was what was going to occur again. That commitment to the running game played a big role in the 49ers offense holding on to the ball and dominating time of possession. The 49ers held the ball for 38 minutes and 22 seconds of the game, compared to only 21:38 for Jacksonville. The 49ers defense has struggled at times this year, and so to be able to not have them have to even be on the field and just to be able to dominate with your offense, that's really the 49ers' best defense. And the defense has actually played pretty well over these last couple of weeks. When the 49ers lost Raheem Mostert for the season in the opener at Detroit, they also lost that explosive element in the running game. I know that Elijah Mitchell has done a pretty good job of replacing that, but really that hasn't been there quite like what we've seen these last 2 weeks, now that they've put Deebo Samuel and kind of started to utilize him more as a running back. Against Jacksonville, Samuel gained 79 yards and had 1 touchdown on only 8 carries, including 2 runs of over 20 yards, one for 25 yards on a touchdown and another one for 21 that set up a score later on in the game. Over the last 2 weeks, Sam has put up 115 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on just 13 attempts. That's the type of explosiveness that Raheem Mostert used to bring to this offense back in 2019, and it's great to see it there for the 49ers this year. Outside of Samuel, the running game was a bit of a grind. Jeff Wilson Jr. and Trey Sermon combined for 29 carries, but they only were able to average 2.8 yards per attempt, 82 yards on the day for the two on those 29 carries. Outside of that, though, Wilson and Sermon also chipped in with a couple of receptions for 31 yards. Right there at the end of the first half, Trey Sermon had that big 23-yard grab late in that first half that set up the field goal from Robbie Gould as the first half would come to a close. Nice little wheel route, able to beat the linebacker who lost him in coverage. Garoppolo laid the ball right into him, and he was able to smartly get upfield and then step out of bounds to stop the clock because the 49ers didn't have any timeouts at that point. Really nice play by Sermon, nice ball by Garoppolo, and it really helped seal off a really good end of the first half for the 49ers offense. Let's see what else we have here. Number 2, question 2. Can the 49ers take advantage of Trevor Lawrence? Again, that's a yes. Lawrence is the second rookie quarterback the 49ers have faced this year. They're now 2-0 against them. In the 49ers defense, they did a pretty good job on Lawrence on Sunday. The final stat line was 16 of 25 for 158. Doesn't look all that bad when you consider the fact that the 49ers held on to the ball for so much time. They didn't really get a chance to really get that game going, the passing game going for Jacksonville. But prior to the Jaguars' final offensive possession, when the 49ers defense had Diamando Lenore, Ambry Thomas, and Dante Johnson in, so all the backup cornerbacks in the game, Lawrence had completed only 12 of 20 passes for 103 yards. So 20 attempts, 103 yards, that's just about 5 yards an attempt. Really wasn't able to get anything going through the air. The last drive when they went down and scored a touchdown, again, against the backups who were playing pretty soft coverage, not really doing anything exotic in the back on the defensive end for the 49ers, they were able to move the ball down the field. San Francisco's pass rush also made things difficult for Lawrence, though, throughout, recording 6 hits and 3 sacks on the rookie. Nick Bosa led the charge with a pair of sacks and 3 quarterback hits. Bosa now has a career-high 10 sacks on the season. He had 9 his rookie year. Through only 10 games this year, he's at 10. Also, Arden Key added a sack as well, his 3rd on the season. Key has seen his sacks increase over the last 4 weeks, and he's made the most yeah, I should say, Key has seen his snaps increase over the last 4 weeks, and he's made the most of the opportunities, recording 3 sacks. To put that number into perspective, Key had a total of 3 sacks in his career prior to this year. So snaps increased, his numbers are increasing, and he's actually been able to tie what his career sacks total was in just these last 3 weeks. Number 3, will Jimmy Garoppolo keep it going? That answer is yes. Garoppolo had another really good game. Garoppolo seems to kind of have regained his form that he had in 2019 when the 49ers were able to go to the NFC Championship game and into the Super Bowl. Over the last 4 games, Garoppolo's recorded a quarterback rating of over 100 or better for the first time since doing it weeks 10 through 13 of that Super Bowl season in 2019. Garoppolo today finished 16 of 22 for 176 yards, a pair of touchdowns, and a passer rating of 126.3, his highest on the season. Garoppolo's been better when playing on the road instead of at Levi Stadium, and that this season, and that continued against Jacksonville. 49ers remained undefeated on the road in Garoppolo's 3 starts. Their only loss coming against Arizona when Trey Lance made the start. So other than that, they've been perfect on the road. And in particular with Garoppolo, his first half performance was solid. He hit on 10 of his 14 attempts for 128 yards and a touchdown. Of the 4 incompletions, two of those came on passes that were thrown away. One was a throwaway out of the end zone. I believe it was on the first down play prior to him hitting Brandon Ayuk for a touchdown. The other was a throwaway right after the long throw to Trey Sermon at the end of the first half. They were looking just to bleed some clock off, and he threw the ball well out of bounds. They came on and kicked the field goal after that. So other than that, he was 10 of 12 for 128 yards, pretty solid performance. His ability to make big throws on third down and in the red zone were really big in the first half, especially during that 20-play, 89-yard drive to open the game that took over 13 minutes off the clock. You know, that was a drive that was extremely impressive. If you go back and you look, that opening drive was the longest in the NFL since November 27th of 1997, when the Tennessee Oilers, yes, not the Tennessee Titans, Tennessee Oilers, had a drive of 13 minutes and 27 seconds. So, amazing opening drive. Saw a little bit of history there made by the 49ers on that drive. Ends up with a field goal. And then coming back from that, on that drive, he was able to hit Brandon Ayuk on a slant for 13 yards on a 3rd and 12 to extend it. And then on the next possession, he was able to find Ayuk again, this time on 3rd and goal from the 7 for a touchdown. So he continually makes plays to extend drives, and he's just played really solid, especially over these last 2 weeks. Helped out, obviously, by that running game, but also the next question that we're going to discuss, which is holding on to the football. He's definitely been helped out in that category as well. Let's take a look over here real quick on the side and see if we have any questions or anything to discuss. Harold says, great 49ers team win. Absolutely. The way that they're running the ball right now, the 49ers, it seems like with this running game going, and now that they've really committed to that physical style, that physicality of the offense and what it takes to run the ball like they're doing, really seems to kind of have gone throughout the team. You're seeing a really physical brand of defensive football, some really hard hits, and just some really good plays out of that side of the ball as well. And part of that could be the fact that the defense is fresh. They're able to fly around a little bit more because they're not on the field quite so much. But they've also done a good job of helping themselves get off the field. Today, going 3 and out on their first possession and then forcing a turnover on the first play of the Jaguars' second possession was huge in not allowing Jacksonville to even get into their game plan before being down by double digits. So just a terrific performance there. Real quick, Mike says, Mike Sherman, thank you for the donation. He says that Minnesota will be a completely different beast, and I agree. Minnesota is a much better team. It's going to take a lot. It's going to be a little bit more all hands on deck, I think, against Minnesota. I'll get into this a little bit more at the end, but I definitely think that the NFC is going to be one that's going to be definitely up for grabs as this thing plays out. All right, let's jump over real quick to another question, to the next one. Number 4, like I said, we were just talking about Garoppolo and his performance and how he was able to be helped out by the running game and also by the his receivers holding onto the football. And that was my question number 4: is can the 49ers offense hold onto the football? And that's yes. And this is a question that I'll probably keep using throughout the year, because when the 49ers hold onto the football, they are a really good offense. They've struggled with that throughout the year with the turnovers, drop passes. I think they still lead, even though they haven't had any drops the last 2 weeks. I believe they still lead the league in drops. So the turnovers, no turnovers, holding on to the passes, that's helping out the 49ers offense all over, helping Garoppolo out, and where he doesn't have to make any, basically have the entire game on his shoulders. They showed up, like I said, on Sunday. They're able to post their second game in a row now without a turnover. That's big. It's the first time that they've done that this season, where they've been able to go 2 games without a turnover on offense. And this is also the first time San Francisco has been able to do that back-to-back, like I said. In addition to lack of turnovers, I mentioned this one earlier, holding on to the passes the last 2 weeks. And for me, I don't think that there's any coincidence that the 49ers receivers have been doing a better job of holding on to the football. And that's coming at the same time that Brandon Ayuk is starting to see an increase in his targets. Ayuk was targeted only 16 times through the first 6 games of the season. Now, over the last 4, that's jumped up to 26. Against Jacksonville, Ayuk was targeted 7 times, caught all of them, and was able to gain 85 yards and a touchdown. Ayuk is a guy who, he doesn't need to have a lot of separation. He makes some really incredible catches, some really tight coverage catches, and you just need to keep throwing him the ball and working him into your game plan, because the more he gets action, the better this offense is. And then last but not least was, will the 49ers offensive line protect Jimmy Garoppolo? And the answer to that is yes. Early on, there was a little bit of concern for myself, at least. It looked like the 49ers were struggling a little bit with some of the blitz packages. They got helped out on that opening drive with a couple of penalties to eliminate some of that stuff. But still, Jacksonville was only able to get to Garoppolo 4 times. They recorded 4 hits on the quarterback. 2 of those were sacks. But the Jaguars' best pass rushers, Josh Allen and Dwayne Smoot, they were really nowhere to be seen. Neither of them were even able to record a hit on Garoppolo today. And like I said earlier, the commitment to the run game's really translated over to improved protection for the quarterback as well. In the passing game, I just think that the 49ers offensive line is at their best when they're running the football, and that threat of the run game opens up so much for the 49ers. It helps their offensive line block better. It opens up that middle of the field for Jimmy Garoppolo, because the linebackers have to respect that run and step up, and that opens up those middle of the field throws. So just a really good all-around performance by the 49ers today. And like I was saying earlier, just a terrific performance all around. Let's see what else we have over here. T-Money Sacktown. Hey, Jack. So now millions of people will be stuck watching golf on Thanksgiving. That's correct. That's one of the fun things about Thanksgiving, right? Is we get to turn on the TV every Thursday during Thanksgiving and watch the Lions play, no matter how bad they are. And we get to do that again on Thursday morning. Not sure if there's a better way to really start the Thanksgiving holiday, though. And then Nitin, thank you very much for the donation. What I want to see is how we respond with two scores down, like the Vikings did to the Packers. So far, we have punched the rock. We will get away from this game plan. Would be a good test for us with the Vikings. The only thing I'm going to say about this is that the 49ers have shown the ability to come back this season. They were down 17-0 to Green Bay, who is one of the best teams in the league, and they came back in that game and took a lead with 37 seconds left. So, you would like to see the 49ers manage to clock a little bit better at the end of that game, and so the defense wouldn't have to be on the field. So there was definitely some time management issues that played into that. But I think we've seen the 49ers do a little bit better job of cleaning that up, especially over the last couple of weeks. I just saw a comment a few minutes ago on Twitter that came out during the game where someone was frustrated with the way that Kyle Shanahan was managing the final possession at the end of the first half by not airing it out. I'm not sure exactly what the what the complaint was there, because the way that the 49ers handled that time at the end of the first half was, in my opinion, done well. They had 2 timeouts. There's no reason you don't want to give the ball back to Jacksonville right there with any kind of time remaining. Although your defense has played well, you're up 17-3. If you give them a ball and they score, that's something fluky happens. Let's say they get a pass and somebody breaks a tackle or does something crazy and they go into the halftime at 17-10. Now they get the ball to start the second half. It completely changes the complexion of the game. The way that they handled it there. They waited till they got they completed the pass to get the first down. Once they converted for the third down and got a first down, that's when they called timeout, and then they kind of worked it down there, and they got the pass to the big throw to Trey Sermon. So very similar to what we've seen from Shanahan a lot this year and a lot over the last couple of years. So as far as being down a couple scores to the Vikings, it's, being down to anybody's tough. You've got to end, but you can come back. We've seen the 49ers do it this year. And that's that. But I do have a call, so I want to jump over and take that right now. Pioneer, how you doing?
Yo, what's up, man? Okay, so I have just off the top of my head, because I had to ask you this in person. I did not want to go with the Twitter stuff because I think that it's just too much going on for you when you look at your Twitter. So why, and maybe you did answer this and I didn't see it, but why did you compare what's his name to Mac Jones to what's his name?
To Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck, yeah.
Yeah.
And I needed to ask you that in person, yeah.
No, that's cool. And I did address it. It was a 2-part thread. I started, I was a full thought that I sent out the first tweet, didn't explain it in the first one, so I hit the second one and explained it in the second one. I was in the middle of actually grating some potatoes for breakfast to make some hash browns, and so I didn't put in the tweet 1 of 2 and tweet 2 of 2. But the reason for that, it's not about their physicality. I understand that they're not even close. Andrew Luck could throw the ball 80 yards and 75 yards, I know, in the air with no problem. He's strong, fast, big tough kid. Mac Jones, he's lucky if he can get it 55 yards with a wind behind him. And he's not going to run. He's not anywhere near the strong physical presence that Andrew Luck was. This was about the situations that they came into and the performance, what they did in those situations. Andrew Luck came to a team. He was a top draft pick because Peyton Manning had left. And when Peyton Manning retired, that was the only reason why the Colts were really as bad as they were in 2011. That team was all still pretty much there. It was just a matter of finding a quarterback that was going to get them back to being a good team. And I think that I kind of felt the same thing. I feel the same thing with regards to the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots, with Tom Brady, they were a perennial playoff team, getting to the Super Bowl and playoffs year in, year out. Last year without him, they fell to 7-9. And a big part of that was their quarterback play. There were some other issues there too, but the quarterback play in the NFL really kind of starts it off. And so that's what it was about. And if you look at their numbers, they both average about the same yards per attempt. Luck had a little bit more because he threw the ball more often. They put a little bit more on his shoulders in Indianapolis than they're doing in New England. But he also, that having more on his shoulders also led to more interceptions. So his interception rate's a little bit higher. It was more about, you get tired of seeing Mac Jones compared to Tom Brady. I don't know if, even though if you look at Mac Jones and Tom Brady in their rookie years, the numbers are pretty similar, but the game's changed a little bit quite a bit, really, since 2001 to 20. Yeah. The way that it's played, since 20,
especially.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. You can't, even, we talk about this all the time when we talk about Tom Brady and compare him to Joe Montana, how much the game's changed. Well, even in the last 20 years, it's changed. And so looking to find something that was a little bit more in the middle ground of who you would match him up with. And I kind of think that Andrew Luck is a good one in terms of the situations that they're going into. I remember hearing a lot during Andrew Luck's career about the number of interceptions that he threw and things like that. And so I want to take a look at those numbers. And so I know that he was asked to carry the load So it's a little bit different. But that was the reason for that. I think if you just look at what they've done from a statistical standpoint, they're pretty similar. Their situations going where they landed are similar. So that's the answer to your first question.
Okay, well, because I really do think that you have to be planning this, right? Like the total Twitter engagement, does it just pop off top of your head and you just put it out there on Twitter, or do you literally just say like, you know what, I'm gonna put an unpopular opinion just to see what people do? Like what is it? What goes on? Because I really feel like sometimes on Twitter you are trolling sometimes, and I don't necessarily think trolling to piss people off. I think it's just in your way of like of just challenging any thought out there, you know? Like what is it that goes on? You just feel like saying it and you just put it on Twitter, or do you know it's going to piss someone off?
No, really, in actuality, I don't look at there are times. There's been a couple of times where I know that it's going to get somebody's goat and I'll put it out there, but that's usually I'll be honest, those are usually my Eric Armstead tweets, because there's a lot of people who seem to think that Armstead's way better than he is. And I think he's overpaid as a defensive tackle. So there's some belief in not thinking that he's nearly worth what he's paying for. But I also know that it's going to get a response on that one yesterday. No, that was just me. Like I said, it was something that I had seen on Friday about not comparing Brady and Jones, just kind of something I was thinking about. And, like I said, I started looking through some stats in the morning and I put it out there. I wasn't expecting it to gain any kind of traction like it did, at least especially on the negative side. But again, I can understand that because it's a thread, and I didn't put one, I didn't say that in the original tweet. So some people didn't see the second tweet to understand what the explanation was.
Yeah, like literally, I'm not saying that I want to say anything. It's just there's so much people in the threads. It's like, dude, don't even engage it. The only reason why I don't engage is because there's probably so much you have to read, and everybody else. I don't even know where. I think Twitter needs to do a better job of the threads. By the way, I can't figure out if someone replied to me or not because the threads are so weirdly placed sometimes. I don't know. It's a rabbit hole as soon as you put one comment. And then you don't know who this other guy is that's trying to comment. You don't even know if it's talking about you. It's just like, man, I'll just read it and I'll ask Jack or I'll ask Jesse on what the hell's going on. Because you guys, I love watching you guys on Twitter. It's amazing, man. It's like I don't know. It's really good to see it. But
I just think in this case, in like what you're saying too about the Twitter needing to do a better job with the threads, I see that because there was one person who had responded to me. I explained my position to it, and then somebody else that had been included in the thread who had made a comment responded back. And I wasn't responding to him, but because of the way that it works, I didn't take him out of the thread either. And so he thought I was responding to him, so he hit me back with another response. But I just let him know I got it. But yeah, I'm with you on that. But no, I wasn't trying to troll anybody yesterday. That's actually, I was just trying to come up with somebody because I do, you've followed me. You know that I like Mac Jones quite a bit. I think he's really good. And I was trying to come up with somebody other than Tom Brady to talk about. And I'm not even from a physical standpoint, but just what their accomplishments are at that same level.
1 second.
Now we got Piner's taking a phone call. See that?
No, the train's coming.
Oh, what? They're going to run me over for my take on Mac Jones, and you got a train going by.
Okay, this is what the pandemic caused, man. I had to relocate, and I had to take care of some folks over here in the Central Valley, and I absolutely hate the Central Valley. I hate it so much. But either way, okay, so the Twitter question off the books. Okay, so about this game though, now that we're a 500 team, do you think that these two wins are gonna they already sparked the revolution of this team for this season? Do you think that going forward now we're gonna be that team that we're supposed to be from the get-go, or not necessarily? They're not completely there. What do you think?
This was a big game in that I think, the Rams game, the question was that Rams game's real, or was it just kind of a one-off? And we saw them come out and be able to do a lot of the same things that they did in the Rams game again. So I think there's definitely a spark that's been made here. And I think in reality, what's happened and what's really helped this 49ers offense out is the way that they've begun to utilize Deebo Samuel. They've missed that explosive element in their running game. I know that Elijah Mitchell gets some big runs here and there, but he's not going to run. He's not as explosive as Raheem Mostert. So I need people to stop putting that out there because he's really not.
Oh my God, that annoys me. Yes.
Yeah, and also he's not as explosive as Deebo Samuel. Look at Deebo Samuel today. He had a 25-yard run for a touchdown. He had a 21-yard run for a touchdown, and then I think he had 2 others for 10 plus. So he's making plays, and he's not really even taking a pounding doing it, which is, the touchdown run, touchdown run, I don't even think he got touched. And then the one where he got down to the 3, he barely gets bumped out of bounds. So, he's a big, strong guy. I saw somebody today respond about, being worried about him getting hurt, but I understand that, but Deebo Samuel's never been injured during his time with the 49ers as something that has to do with contact. It's always been soft tissue stuff from running.
Yeah. You know what? Just to respond to what you said, I get really irritated when people try to convince me that Mitchell is just as good as Mostert. And I can only understand one part of that argument, and it's just because of the health factor of him being able to be sustainable. But even right now, I mean, he's still hurt right now, so it's like, I don't even know what that means really, but I get it that he doesn't have a season-ending injury compared to someone like Mostert. I get that. But as far as, in their primes, one game, you have to choose one, and I'm promised that he will be healthy this game. You know damn well that Mostert he's special to watch. He really is. Like the way he chooses those gaps to run through, very quick, and sometimes he's very patient too, and people don't give him credit for that. And I feel like he's just a special guy to watch, and it really I don't know, I think it discredits Mostert's ability as a runner whenever you say that, oh well, Mitchell's just as good. It's like, no, get that out of here. I don't believe that for one second. It's special what Mostert has. I'm not saying that he isn't a better player to have because of the sustainability, but still, I think that it's ridiculous to ever say that Mitchell's just as good as him as a runner. No way. Get that out of here. It annoys the hell out of me because I've been arguing with people on YouTube and Twitter about that, and I don't know what it is.
I think with Mitchell, there's a physicality to him that you didn't really see as much with Mostert, and I think that's what some people like. But there's times when he's getting big runs that if it was Deebo Samuel now or if it was Mostert before, those are going to they may even be touchdowns just because he was he was just more explosive. And that's not a knock on Mitchell. He's a really good back. They're a little bit different style back. So for me, it's just, don't tell me that Mitchell is the home run hitter necessarily that you saw from Mostert, because Mostert could get the ball and have guys right in his way and basically just run around them like they're standing still. And I don't think we've ever seen Mitchell be able to do that yet. Mitchell's had to have a perfect opening or a crease that he could get through and blocking all the way down.
Yeah. I think that, I'm not convinced yet. I'm really not about these 2 games, and I get it. It is the Rams, and I still don't care about that myth that we always have their number. I don't want to follow that either. All I'm saying is we won. Leave it at that. It's this season. I get it. The last 2 seasons we've been having our way with them, but still, I don't know. I feel like sometimes as fans we're not as humble as we can be about our enemies sometimes, And I feel like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Rams can have some type of spark at the end of the season, with having Miller and OBJ, and maybe the OBJ thing, they have chemistry that built that maybe was lost in that first game, because I mean he was there just like 2 days before the game even started. So I don't know what's going to happen as far as the end of the season with that Rams and Niner game. I think that we can win. It's not to say that we can't. I just hope that at that point, where are the Niners going to be at that point with health, and do they still have this spark, that we're starting to see that's going to light up, So, I'm questioning those things. And, as far as the game, I mean, One thing I do want to say for this team, Jawan Jennings had a great football game, not necessarily stat-wise. Jumping on the fumble, amazing. Showing great maturity whenever he could have swung at, number 2. I forgot who it was. It's a cornerback. Yep. So it's like those kind of things. We need the team to have those kind of, I guess you could say, like, discipline. We need that discipline. We need football plays. It's not just about who's going to make the tackle, who's going to make the catch, who has the stats at the end of the day. We have to be a football team that's smart, and I think that's something that I hope that Josh Norman starts to look at, because I don't want him, take notes, bro. Take notes. So I don't know. I honestly wanted this team to lose so we can get towards the, ripping the Band-Aid off with fire, because I'm still not a believer in Kyle just yet. Like, if we go to the playoffs and we get the wild card or something like that, and let's just say we have a decent run, right? I'm still not convinced that he's the guy, because there's a load of other things I have questions about with Kyle, and it is the draft, and it is about your decision making. It's about your pressers. It's a lot of things that we still need answers to for Kyle, for me at least. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, but I mean, what do you think if we make a good playoff run, he's in your good graces?
Who's that? Kyle Shanahan?
Yes, Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, no, Shanahan's been in my, I haven't been on the fire Kyle Shanahan bandwagon.
And that's fair. Yeah.
And so from that standpoint, I don't think it really matters as far as what he does this year, as far as my perspective of him. It's if they can. My whole deal with him is the inconsistency of his offense and the inconsistency of his offense being able to score points. Now, he's put together some really good plans the last couple of weeks, so let's see if he can really do that now throughout the rest of the season. So I from that standpoint, I agree with you that he needs to have a better finish to the year than he had definitely a start, and he's kind of showing that now. If they make the playoffs, if the 49ers can make the playoffs, they can make it as a 6 seed. Really, if you look at the way that this is laying out in front of them, both teams ahead of them right now in the playoff race are New Orleans and Minnesota, both sitting there in front of them with the same record as they are, so they can get all the way up to the 6th seed in the playoffs. And then you watch and you see what Minnesota did today against Green Bay. The 49ers should have beaten Green Bay earlier this year. I think the 49ers can play with Arizona as long as they don't turn the ball over like they've done in the first 2 games. I don't think there's that big of a difference really between those teams. I think there was just a letdown in that last game because of all those guys missing for Arizona. And, there is something to be said about playing against a quarterback that you haven't really been able to study for all week heading into the game as part of it too. I just see the NFC playoffs to me are going to be wide open. I don't see any team in the NFC that's just a dominant team that you can say this is the team. If they're the number 1 seed, they're going to go all the way through. Even like the 49ers were in 2019. You kind of had that feeling in 2019 when they got the number 1 seed, they were going to make the Super Bowl. I don't think that about any of these teams in the NFC. I mean, look at what happened today. The Cowboys are sitting there with 2 losses as one of the top teams in the NFC, and they go in there and get smoked by a Chiefs team that's been struggling all year long.
And it looks like they've returned. Like, I'm not saying completely just yet, but their record reflects on who they are. They're starting to come back up as far as like having a spark for their own team, the way I look at it is that in the beginning of this season, a lot of teams just didn't perform the way I thought they would. And it's not just the week 1 weirdness. It was beyond that. Like right now, the Bills, to me, I'm shocked at, what they're looking like right now. The NFC North, the NFC, no, the AFC North. The AFC North, to me, the Steelers are dealing with their quarterback issue. We know what the Bengals, they're good, but Lamar still has to carry that team, it looks like, and it's just insane what they expect him to do and stuff like that. And just, the Browns aren't who we thought they would be either, or at least I didn't. There's a lot of teams on both sides that I'm just like questioning. I think we can have a decent run though. That's I won't lie about that. We show the potential to do it. Now, again, when I said that, let's just say like I wanted us to lose, now I'm at a point where it's like, dude, it feels good to win, but what are we winning for? And I get it at the end of the day that most fans, if you ask them, well, do you want to go to the playoffs with Jimmy or do you want Trey Lance? I wouldn't be shocked if the majority said we want to go to the playoffs with Jimmy. which is fine. You're a fan. You want to win. You want to go to the playoffs every year, yada, yada. But for me, now I'm at a point where, okay, I wanted us to lose because I thought that I thought that we were going to be losing a lot of games, but I wanted Kyle to be embarrassed. That way we can fire him already. That's the truth of what I wanted. Like, I really want some people to get fired here. So I was like, you know what? I want embarrassment. If we're going to lose, I want to lose bad. I need someone to get fired. John, Kyle, one of you guys got to go because this is unacceptable. Every year I have to question if we're going to have a winning season. Out of 4 or 5? It's like, come on, dude. I'm not going to be waiting this long. I know you guys aren't the truth. Now I'm at a point where, Kyle, you decided to start winning all of a sudden, and you expect me to change my mind because other fans in our fan base are pointing the finger at me. You wanted us to lose. Like, yeah, I wanted us to lose. Are you kidding me? I don't believe in this guy. But now I'm at a point where, okay, are we going to be this team that's only going to go in the playoffs with Kyle Shanahan every other year? Or what is going on here? Because if there's no Super Bowl in this regime, why the hell should I believe in this guy? So now I'm at a point where I'm in a crossroads of, do I want us to win or do I want us to lose? I guess, if we're winning right now, might as well keep going. Lance, I can survive if Lance ain't playing, by the way. I could survive with that. And the reason why is because I think he'll eventually be successful because he's a hard worker. But it offends a lot of Trey stands that he ain't playing. It offends them a lot, and I think that's fair, but still, you're a fan of the Niners, you should want them to win,
Yeah. No, there's a lot of, you go back and forth with this, and I mentioned it on my Thursday show with Jesse on Hammer Nail Show. I'm really tired of talking about Trey Lance, and not that I'm not tired of talking about Trey Lance, meaning that I'm not excited for the potential that he brings. I'm just tired of the why isn't Trey playing? Why isn't this happening? Trey did this a couple of times. Why isn't he playing now? Somebody make it make sense. Come on. The 49ers have now won 3 of the last 4 games. The game they lost wasn't because of the quarterback.
And a lot of people don't want to admit that either.
And yes, exactly. Yeah. That's one of the, heck, last week, Garoppolo had a pretty good game last week, I thought, against the Rams. They had 4 incompletions. There was one pass that I really didn't like. And I pointed that out. But other than that, I thought he played a pretty good game. And then I'm hearing people say he didn't play all that good because he only threw for 180 yards or 190 yards or whatever. And it's just like, sometimes I know I have to do a better job of myself of not listening to some of the stuff that people say, because there's some people that have platforms that you just got to wonder, like, okay, if you're gonna rip a guy because he had 3 bad passes out of 20, what are we doing here? Because you could do that with every quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, the funny thing about football, sometimes I think of it as art, where it's like very subjective, and I'm not saying that you don't have a better reasoning behind somebody else being biased, because there's a lot of bias in football, obviously, and people won't admit to their biases, I'll admit it right now, I hate Jimmy. As a player, I hate him. I think he's an absolute cancer. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to everybody. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, yeah, he's been having 3 bad games lately. No. Jimmy's been fine. He's Jimmy. But, and he's not jittery Jimmy or whatever. He's just plain solid Jimmy. He's solid Jimmy to me when I look at him. But at the end of the day, I understand what those people hate, and I understand what they don't want to watch every Sunday. But, I really do try to be unbiased about things, and I will switch my opinion if someone could prove me wrong. Like, I remember one time when I was asking you something on your Twitter, it was a video. I think it was when Dwally, he missed on a block, right?
Yes.
He missed on a block or something, and you corrected me, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I deserve the smoke. Anybody that says I'm stupid, go ahead, go for it, and I'll admit, when I'm wrong about something. But I really do think that there's a lot of bias in football right now. If you're a Trey stan, a Jimmy stan, or something like that, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm a Trey fan. I want him to develop, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie to everybody and say that Jimmy did bad. And I think that we all need to learn how to be unbiased here about a lot of things. But this team, man, it's very confusing on what I want this to be going forward. It really is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're not going to get your wish in that nothing's going to happen to Shanahan this year. I don't.
Oh yeah, no. I never expected that, but I wanted John's head at least on a stick, man.
Yeah,
I want something. Yeah,
yeah. Neither one of them are gonna. I don't think either one of them is going to get bad enough to where either one of them are gone. I think this team, quite frankly, if they can, this game coming up against Minnesota is a big one. Minnesota's played a lot of teams really tough throughout the year. Even their losses have been tight. So this is going to be one of those nail biter type of games, I think. And if the 49ers can get past Minnesota and get themselves to 6-5, I think you kind of need to watch out because I think they can get themselves. If they can get past Minnesota, I think they can get to 9-5. And if they can get to 9-5 heading into Tennessee, that's a team that's going to really be able to maybe do some damage because from after Tennessee's a couple more winnable games, and I think if they can get to 9-10 wins, they're in the playoffs.
And off the top of your head about that game, do you see us winning that or no?
This week against Minnesota?
Yeah, just off the top of your head, real quick. Obviously, you're gonna break it down for us later.
Yeah, if you had to, if you asked me to put it out there right now, I would say I think the 49ers could win if they played the way that they've played the last couple of games. It's when you look at it, Minnesota is a good team. They're going to give the 49ers trouble because Kirk Cousins can throw the ball pretty good. They have a really good running back in Cook.
Dalvin.
Yeah, and Dalvin Cook. Those two guys are going to make it really hard on this defense. And the only way the 49ers can win this game, I think, is if they do what they've done the last two games, which is keep the ball away from the Minnesota offense and just and get out to a 2-score lead, and then just kind of manage the storm the rest of the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. But yeah, I have one more question before I dip.
All right.
Now, again, I answered this for myself already, but let's just say if we did make a deep playoff run going into the offseason, we move on from Jimmy, yada, yada. Do you see this team being successful next season with the decision-making that we've seen from Kyle and John as of lately? Like, do you even think this regime is still a regime that's going to get you a Super Bowl? Like, what do you feel about that? Obviously, it's too premature to even tell, but go ahead.
Well, I think with this team, the core of this team is going to be back next year. The guys who are your starting core are all, for the most part, re-signed, with the exception of Josh Norman and the other guy in the back there, Jaworski Tart. I think Tart and Norman are the only two guys that are on the end. They're like a 1-year deals. They're going to be gone after this year. Possibly when I think of that now, I'm also thinking DJ Jones was on a 1-year deal, and I'm not sure about Arden Key because Arden Key's really been a big boost to their pass rush over the last few weeks. So offensively, though, I think pretty much everybody's coming back. Defensively, you're going to have a few things that you're going to have to sort out. Hufanga's gotten a lot of run this year, though, which I think kind of helps move on from Jaworski Tart if they have to. If they aren't able to bring him back. So they're going to, I think, you might be looking at a defensive tackle again early in the draft. Maybe in the second round. Well, because I mean, quite frankly, they choked it when they traded away to Forrest Buckner. That was an all-time gaffe that people still want to try to tell you that they made the right choice on.
My God. Yeah. So man, well, just thank you for your knowledge, man. Thank you for actually working hard to give us something to, rather people disagree with you or agree with you. I think that you really do a good job. That's why I can't just go on Twitter rants and just say, Jack, you're completely stupid. Even though there was a few times where you did piss me off, by the way. And Jesse has a record. I hope Jesse has it. Yeah, you pissed me off with that Mac Jones because Jesse, he didn't say it. I don't want to put words in Jesse's mouth. But he was like, well, I think that, Jack he really likes Mac Jones. And maybe that's, one of the other reasons that maybe he's not giving Trey Lance completely credit yet. But we already know you. Me and Jesse know you. In my opinion, we know you in the sense of it takes a minute for you to even commit to something. You're not just going to go right away and buy into Trey Lance, and just completely give him compliments. You're going to judge his game, whether people like it or not, which I think is completely fair. And I encourage it. But the thing is, like when he told me that you like Mac Jones, that because I knew you like Mac Jones, but I didn't know it was that much. And I was just like, this guy Jack loves Mac Jones so damn much that he doesn't want to give my boy Trey Lance a chance. You know, in my head, that's what I was building up. That's what I was building up. But that's not true. I obviously,
I'm going to say real quick, and I will say this on the Trey Lance thing, because I have been negative on I'm not even negative on Trey Lance, but I've been on the side of Trey Lance isn't ready to be what everybody thinks he's going to be.
Okay.
If he plays right now, I think that's more of where that's kind of more of where I am on that, because I hear, if Trey Lance was out there, he's going to do this and this and this and this better than Jimmy. And it's like, nah. And part of the reason that I say no is because, I mean, I watched him for like a whole bunch of practice. I watched them throughout training camp, and I saw kind of an ebb and a flow, and I kind of saw a guy who had a really hot start who then kind of cooled off the more they put on his plate. And the one thing I will say about it, and this came up today on Twitter too, and I think it was spot on. The people that are saying that Trey Lance isn't playing because he doesn't understand the playbook, because that was what they said today on the broadcast. If you heard that, where like he's not ready yet because he doesn't understand the offense fully. Mm-hmm. That's not why he's not playing. He's not playing because he just doesn't there in terms of his physical side of it. He understands the playbook. He doesn't
execution.
Yeah, he doesn't have he's just not there yet in terms of being able to get the ball out of his hands. There's plays that Garoppolo is making over the middle of the field and stuff that I don't think Lance can hit yet, because we haven't seen it from him on any kind of a consistency, even in training camp. So it's going to be funny when this thing finally does change and Trey Lance takes over. I think you're going to see a different 49ers offense. Right now, a lot of what they do is towards the middle of the field. Trey Lance is not a very good middle of the field thrower. He's much better when he's throwing to the outsides. And part of that is because he doesn't like to throw the ball around people, which is part of why he didn't have many interceptions in college, because he doesn't take throws. And sometimes he doesn't take throws that are even there because he thinks it's covered, or he doesn't like the fact that he's going to have to like maybe throw it over a linebacker, that kind of stuff. It's just going to be different. You're going to see some changes in the 49ers. And I hope that I'm wrong and that he's able to come in and be what everybody expects him to be. I just think that we need to reel ourselves in a little bit on our expectations of what he is going to be. It's going to take a while with him, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, honestly, I don't have any expectations for him. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I expect him to work his ass off and to, put in the work. You're picked that high, you expect that. But, in terms of, what do I expect him? I'm not expecting Josh Allen. I get a lot of people want to, compare that. But the only thing I think is comparable is just playing him from the get-go and seeing him develop. Other than that, I don't want to say that he is Josh Allen in terms of that's what he's going to be and stuff like that. But I don't know what to think about, what people, because I just, again, it's the bias thing. And for me, I'll think what I think. And sometimes I just have to agree to disagree and not to get mad, and I, Jesse helped me out with that when he was just, we were talking in the spaces, me, him, and some other people. And just, I think we beat most topics into, separating, man. It's just insane. But yeah, I just want to thank you, man. And hopefully you have more callers,
we'll see. We'll see. I don't have anybody in line, but I appreciate you calling and talking to me, because it was fun to rap with you a little bit about the game today.
Oh, heck yeah. And then watch later tonight. I'm going to have a question. I'm like, damn, I should ask him that, but it's all good. We'll have another call in eventually.
Tweet. Just respond to one of my stupid tweets and I'll respond.
All right. I mean, you're different on Twitter, man. You
All right. Hey, have a good one, Piner. Thanks for calling in.
Yep. Have an average night.
All right. Thanks. Bye. All right. That was fun talking to Piner. I don't know if there's anybody else that wants to call in and talk about the game a little bit, but definitely was a fun game today. I think the 49ers are moving in the right direction. Really like the way that they've gotten the run game going. We'll see if that carries over. This game against Minnesota next Sunday is definitely going to be a tough one. Minnesota's been a really, take their record out of it, they've been a pretty good team as far as their games, and they've played a lot of tight ones, and I think that's going to happen again on Sunday when they take on the 49ers. So Uh, anyway, just take a look real quick over here to see if I want to thank you, Harold, on the props there and the film breakdowns. Those are really a lot of fun to do. Those are one of the funnest things that I look forward to doing every week. As soon as that film comes out, I like to take a look at that. So I don't really see a whole lot of questions over here. I don't think I missed anybody. If I did, throw it back out at me. But other than that, I just want to say thank you all for coming on here on a Sunday night and jumping on, checking out the show and commenting. If you could please, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the like button. That always helps out with the algorithms and the comments as well. So really appreciate that. And let me see really quick here. There is one question before I jump off. Lee comes in with a good one. He says, Jack, we have to give the Pats credit for the way they've handled Mac Jones. Do you trust Kyle to coach up Lance? I'm going to say the answer to that is yes. I believe that I believe in the way that Shanahan is managing Lance. It's not something that I have a problem with. Having watched, like I said, enough of Lance during the preseason and the practices and things like that, I feel like they're doing the right thing by him, and they're doing the right thing by the organization. What's going to happen, regardless of what, whether it's when Lance comes in, if he struggles, it's all going to fall on the shoulders of the coaches, because this guy was a first-round pick. So I think that the way that he's been handled here is going to be, I don't think there was a right way that he can handle him in terms of public perception. He's going to get hammered either way if it doesn't work out. Just part of him doing his deal. I think Lance is getting developed a lot more in practice than we realize. And when his time comes, I would expect him to be able to step in and play well, and it's going to be a learning process for him. But I think that process is going to be one that's going to be much faster than even what we've seen of the rookies this year, because the guys that are rookies this year we've seen some of them have some progression from week to week. But I think that with Trey Lance, his progression is going to be much quicker because he's had so much time. It's not like he's learning how to be in the NFL plus learning the 49ers system. He's going to know, when he gets his chance, if it's next year, he's going to be used to what it's like to be in the NFL, and he's going to be able to focus only on being a player and not any of the peripheral stuff, and just go out and play. And I think it's going to help him out. And then Harold asked me what I thought of Sermon. Sermon's all right. The thing with Sermon is a guy who you don't want running the lateral. So you don't want him running your those really wide stretch plays that the 49ers run, where it's more like a sweep, where he's going to run downside, he's going sideways with the shoulders turned to the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden he's going to cut up. He's not good at that. Sermon is much better when his shoulders are square to the line of scrimmage and he's moving forward. Even if you want to get him outside on the toss plays, those are okay for him because his shoulders are still pretty much square to the line of scrimmage. He's getting the ball and then he's exploding upfield. It's not something where he's running sideways and then cutting and going. That doesn't suit Sermon's style. Sermon is much more of a downhill runner. He needs to be coming at you at the line of scrimmage. And I think that if they, that was part of why today, even late in the game, you saw Deebo Samuel in there, was because Jeff Wilson Jr. isn't a very good lateral runner either. And so the 49ers really didn't have that component to their game today without Deebo Samuel in there. That's something that they can do a little bit with Elijah Mitchell. He's better at that than Sermon and Wilson. So today, when they got into those situations, they had to use Samuel to do that. But, overall, I thought Sermon was fine. Get him going upfield. He's going to be better that way. I just wish that when the 49ers were in that, when the 49ers were out there in a situation where it was the fourth quarter, you knew the game was out of reach, I would have liked to have seen Sermon and Lance on the field together, and I would have liked to have seen them just repping the zone read, just to keep the running backs fresh. The less hits that you get on those guys, the better. And by that I mean Jeff Wilson Jr. and Deebo Samuel, and then you also don't have to worry about Jimmy Garoppolo getting dinged up or anything like that. So. Matthew asked me if Moore was injured today or he just lost playing time. I don't think he was injured, but I'll get back to you on that one on Twitter. I didn't hear anything about that. If you give me a second, I can look it up really quick. Because if he was injured, there would be something on it from earlier today, and I didn't catch it on the in the post game press conference with Shanahan. But let me just see real quick if I have that here to answer your question. No, I don't have it. So I'll get that information though, and I'll tweet it out for you. Sorry about that. And then Lee asks, opinion on Deebo running between the tackles. I don't have any problem with Deebo Samuel running between the tackles. I think, they try to limit him as much as possible, but Deebo Samuel's built like a running back. He's a wide receiver that's built like a running back, and he's not, I don't worry about him getting hurt running the ball up the middle. I worry more about him getting hurt with contact, like on a pass coming across the middle where guys have more of a running start. And it can maybe a cleaner shot than they do. There's not a lot of clean shots on guys in the running game a lot of times. And I think that Samuel's pretty good with the way that he handles himself and his body with missing big hits. So, but before I go off, I know I was starting to jump off, and so some of you might have left, but I'm still here, and now I got this guy over here, a little wild and crazy. Waruna, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. How are you, Jack?
I'm good. What's going on?
I had a good weekend. Went out of town, so just away from football and everything. Even I didn't watch the game live. Came back home and just watched it.
Nice. That's sometimes that might even be the better way of doing it because you can fast forward through all the commercials.
Yes, and it sometimes, I don't know whether you have the same feeling. Sometimes it's better to get away from football for a couple of days, Twitter and everything. It just relaxes your mind and you can get the energy back.
I hear you 100% on that one.
Uh-huh. So I needed that.
Yep. What were your thoughts on the game?
I mean, proud about the team, I would say, as a fan. Mm-hmm. The way they are coming back, I think we gave them a hard time. We were questioning this team. I think I wouldn't say that they are turning around things and they will get to playoffs for sure, but not going to say that now. But they have won 2 games back to back. So one game was a very tough one against the top team. Now this is a game that they, they should win this game. So coming into this week, so they took care of that. It's a good win, and especially what I like is the defense is getting us some turnovers. So I think that's what was missing initially in the first, let's say, 5 to 7 weeks. We were missing that. Now they are getting these turnovers. I think that helps the offense. So then offense will spend more time in the field. That wears down the opposing defense. So it works really well. Because I was just watching the highlights of the Titans versus Texans game. So that game was totally on Texans defense. So they created these turnovers. It was a close game, and they were able to eventually win the game against the top team. So I think if 49ers can do this, I don't want offense to play like explosive football, throwing for like 40-yard throws over the middle or something. No, if we can keep playing this game, play complementary football, running the ball well, don't turn over the don't give any turnovers on the offensive side of the football, but make turnovers on the defensive side of the football. So if we can do that continuously, I'm happy.
Yeah, if they can win that, be on the positive side of that turnover battle, it definitely plays to their strengths. And same thing. I think you mentioned the running game. If they can keep this running game going, I think it really helps out because they're especially like this week coming up. If they can keep their defense off the field and not have to face, Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook, I think that really helps them out. So they've got to be able to keep that running game going if they want to keep this. I think that's been kind of what's been spurring this whole thing on, and Deebo with his explosive runs has really helped out as well.
And I mean, I was listening to you talking with Pino and Pino about the next week's Minnesota game. Yes, it's pretty important. At the same time, it's not that I don't respect Minnesota, but I don't take them that seriously due to the fact they're up and down, up and down. Because if you remember the game against Cowboys, they had a good opportunity to beat Cowboys because Cowboys were playing their backup quarterback. That didn't play that game. So Minnesota had so many opportunities to win that game, but still they couldn't get over the line. So I believe if our defense can play disciplined, not getting into like their bad habits in terms of pass interferences and again some what you call the personal fouls. Even today we saw there was a fight, but we were not the side that got the penalty, so it was the other team. So these are good things. So if we can stay disciplined, play our fundamentals, do the basics right, I think Minnesota is a game that again we should win because now we have 2 game momentum going into this week. So I think Minnesota should be a game that we are going to come up with a win.
Yeah, if the 49ers can play at the level that they've played these last 2 weeks, if they can keep at that same level, yes, it's a game that they should win. I think it's going to be a tight game, but it's a game that they should be able to win. You look at Minnesota; they've been tight. But they only beat the Detroit Lions by two points. On a field goal at the end of that game. They lost to the Browns. They lost to the Bengals. They were, they won in overtime against the Panthers, a Panthers team who lost today at home to the Washington football team, 4-point losers to Dallas. So, they've been in tight contests in all their games. Their biggest margin was their victory over Seattle when they won by 13. Other than that, every game's been close basically within 4 or 5 points. So it's been a really tight deal for Minnesota. I think you're going to see that again.
Yes. So I saw a couple of comments saying, yes, I understand the fact that they did beat Green Bay and they are, but all I'm trying to say is I'm not disrespecting that team, but what I'm trying to say is that Minnesota are not a bad team, yes, but they are not a good team either or great team either. So if we can do our basics right, if Kyle Shanahan keep faith in his run game and using Wilson, Sermon, especially Debo, the way they use it, it's really good. Because as you said, if that is the way Debo is going to get us his, let's say, 100% production, his best version of the outcome, then we are fine with that, right? Because we don't want to see Debo contesting for 50 yards down the line because we can't do that. So if Debo can work out the way he's working out, getting you rushing touchdowns, acting as a what you call hybrid mode, running back and receiver as well, if it is working for us, then we are fine. So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not disrespecting Minnesota, but what I'm saying is 49ers are capable of beating this team if they just play their complementary basic football. Do the basics right, you can do it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. I get exactly what you're saying, and that's kind of where I feel. If they play up their potential, they can win. Minnesota's going to win this game if the 49ers don't.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. So we're on the same wavelength on this one.
Yes,
we really are.
Yeah, because that's why I'm even happy with Garoppolo. We don't have to ask Garoppolo to do like any things that he is not supposed to do outside his comfort zone. Just do what you are doing. Don't turn the football over. We would be good because we have players that we can back it up. I think Shanahan went with that strategy this week too, right? I can't remember the exact stats for this week. I think Garoppolo threw less than 25 times this week too, right? Last week he was just 19 attempts. Last week we rushed for 44 times versus Garoppolo 19. I can't remember the exact stat for this week.
Yeah, today Today was they threw the ball a little bit. They ran the ball 42 times today. I think they ran more plays overall anyway, but um, they were more. I think he was sacked twice. He scrambled once. So he had 22 attempts today. I think it was. So they were right around 25 total
Yes.
total passes today compared to 20
Yes.
against the Rams. So still definitely more run heavy, definitely
Yes.
more along those lines. But that's the way the 49ers are going to win games.
Yeah. Because you because end of the day you don't have to compete with other teams on how you win, because it doesn't matter whether Matthew Stafford is going to throw for like 50-yard touchdowns every game. It's okay. If
Mm-hmm.
Rams can win that way, it's fine. But if 49ers can win this way, it's still fine, because you don't give points to a team on the way that they won. Okay, you won the game beautifully. Okay, we'll award you extra 2 points. It's not going to happen in NFL. So that's why I'm really happy if we can continue this thing. Just the same thing, doesn't matter. But sometimes you can complain, okay, 49ers play boring football. I'm fine as long as we win.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with you. I think that's something that they can do in this game. So we'll see how it all plays out. But it's definitely going to be a fun one to watch.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
And one more thing before I wind off, I really like the fact that Kyle did not bring Trey Lance in advance, even though we had the game in our hand.
Okay.
Because I always wanted, if Jimmy plays, I wanted Kyle to give him the time. Let Jimmy play, because you don't have to complicate things too much at this time, because we have been there, we have done all these things, so we don't have to bring too much into equation. Just let Jimmy play, because he has done enough, so he has earned his right to play. I would say that.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I just would have liked to have seen him get some snaps there, because you're not risking losing the game, and you can get some snaps in there, kind of keep some of the other guys, your normal starter guys, healthy without risking it. But it's okay. The way it all worked out, we got to see Aaron Banks for the first time. That was good.
Yes.
So it was fine. It all worked out good for the 49ers today.
Yes. It's a great win. Finally, we are happy.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good one today. So awesome.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad you got away a little bit. Got to kind of recharge your batteries. So I'll be at you on Twitter and bugging you over there, and hope to hear from hope to hear from you this week if I get a chance to do my call-in show, and so on and so forth. So thanks for calling in.
Okay. Thanks a lot for having me.
All right.
Good evening.
Yep, you too. Thank you so much, Runa.
Okay. Bye.
Yep, bye. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. I don't think there was any other questions in the comment section to go over. Yes, Akella Witherspoon is on Pittsburgh. I didn't realize he was starting either, but maybe he is now due to injuries. But other than that, I really want to say thank you to everybody that joined. Thank you to Waruna and Pinor for taking the risk to call in. Hopefully, if I get a chance to do these further on down the road, you guys can we'll get a few more calls. But I really do appreciate even the folks that are commenting over in the comment section and asking questions over there. So just thank everybody for joining, for coming on and watching this tonight. If you could just please subscribe if you're not subscribed, hit that like button, throw in a comment here and there if you have one. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great night, and we'll be back with you this week with more 49ers talk. Bye-bye.